So, the Barbarian. There is a reason that I left this dude for last, and that is because making this mini playthrough took me a solid 2 months. Why is that, you may ask? Well, watch the video and you shall find out.
Beware foul demons and beasts.
Well, right off the bat, it will become pretty clear that the Barbarian plays very differently to the other characters that I have played with in Diablo 2, in that he is a melee character. Instead of using spells and magic or elemental damage, the Barbarian gets in there with brute force and slashes the enemy apart with his weapons, or fists, if you wish. Because of this, his stat allocation is different as well. As you can see, I put all my points from the first level into dexterity. This isn't so that I could equip some particular gear, but rather to increase my attack rating, which is basically a percentage chance to hit the monster. Spells in Diablo 2 always hit 100% of the time, but melee attacks, apart from being pretty poor for multiple monsters such as these, have a chance to hit the monster that is governed by attack rating. For my skill at level 2, I put a point into Bash. However, I am pretty much never going to be using it since it saps a lot of mana and ends up being more of a nuisance than an aid. I reached level 3 soon after as well and put more points into Dexterity to get some more attack rating, as I like to keep Dexterity and Vitality balanced early on. And for my skills, I put a point into Mace Mastery, since maces are the main weapons that I'll be using pretty much throughout the playthrough. Due to any lack of area of effect damage from my melee attacks at the time, clearing the den takes a while, but the Barb is tanky and can handle his own. After clearing the den, I went over to shop at Akara. Here I looked for scepters because they belong to the mace class and have respectably high base damage. Finding scepters with sockets is always a bonus, since I can put chipped gems in here for additional elemental damage as well. Yes, and I did say scepters, since I will be dual wielding them. Bloodraven is a very easy and fast kill, even though you do not have any AoE for her zombies. Since the Barb is a close range attacking monster, her dodging your attacks is pretty much a non-factor since you can just get in her face and get her out of there quick. The monsters through the underground really get stronger, and that theme continues into the Dark Wood. Thankfully, at this point though, I was able to reach level 6, at which I got 2 major upgrades to my arsenal. One was that I could finally use some strangling gas potions, about which I have raved about in every melee playthrough that I have done till now. The second was the skill Double Swing, which, well, does what it says. It lets you double swing with the cost of mana. Among other things, the Darkwood also houses Treehead, which is the name of this big brute right here who nearly almost killed me with stun locking me, and therefore I decided to kill him off mostly using gas potions. As a reward for my perseverance and finishing him off with double swing, he dropped me a set quilted armor which is Arctic's Fur, which gives 10 to all resistance. Not too shabby. We all know how good strangling gas potions are, however it is in Trav that you really are able to appreciate the power of double swing, as it adds that extra damage and attack rating at the cost of a little mana. Overall, it is a pretty sweet package and I will be putting points into it till its mana cost diminishes. Moving on, I reached the Black Marsh and luckily for me I got the tower right next to my waypoint, which is a huge boon since the Barb does need to farm for a lot of runes. While rune farming, one type of monster that can be really annoying are these ghosts. These guys sap your mana upon attacking and are resistant to physical attacks and therefore can take a little bit of a longer time to kill than the others. The Countess, however, poses no such problem, since with the help of strangling gas potions, you are able to clear out the monsters spawning nearby her and then single her out with your double swing attack as well. Like I said before, you'll need to do that quite a few times because god, look at all the runes that this guy needs. I mean, I almost feel like a beauty vlogger here because it's kinda like, hey guys, so today I went shopping with my girl the Countess and this is my rune haul. So first are the runes Tal and Eth, which I used to build this really cute stealth armor. This to me is the perfect Tuesday look, especially if you're looking to go really fast, both on the run walk and the hit recovery side. Complementing that, I also got this really cute Ral helmet, which is a great outdoor wear, especially if you're planning to go for a nice barbecue with some pit lords. Wink wink, down in the K. Okay, alright, I'm gonna stop. Also, I got a couple extra Rals with my Ral helmets, because can't go wrong with those. And these 6 runes to the side are for my weapons, and I'll get to them when I get to building them. With my rune haul all successful and over, I moved on to Catacombs 2. Here I secured the waypoint before I went looking for the exit, as you can see. This is because I plan to do some normal Andariel runs, I know, shocker, and that would come in handy. Of course, to do the runs, I actually gotta beat Andariel first, and in normal she does do some pretty respectable poison damage, so antidotes are highly recommended. Having a chipped ruby in your scepter can definitely help there, just to sneak in some of that fire damage that Andariel so notoriously hates, but more than that, as long as you can keep your barb alive with some rejuvenations, you should be good. For the first drop of Andariel's, she actually dropped me set chain gloves, those obviously being Kleeglaws. These are pretty good defensive gloves for melee characters as they offer knockback and slow target by 25%, so these are definitely a nice find. I also reached level 14 after killing Andariel and so started putting points into strength, which I'll need to equip flails, which I'll be switching to later, and also put a point into the skill leap, since it is just of great utility to jump over obstacles, ledges, and sometimes even monsters. So, while farming Andariel, the first find that I found was a set belt, and this was like my 3rd run, and I got such a nice find in the form of Hisaru's belt. This belt is super good due to the 22 life and 20 cold rest that it provides, and if I manage to find the boots as well, that will give me attack rating per level, which would be a nice bonus. Next find on the list is Bloodfist's gloves from Andariel that are unique heavy gloves which are really nice for melee characters since they give 10% increased attack speed, 30 faster hit recovery and 42 life, so I switched over to these from the Kleeglaws in a heartbeat. Keeping the streak of awesome glove finding, a random chest dropped me the hands of Brock. Leather gloves with dual leech and some poison resist. These are nice and would probably be useful when I get to other skills like Whirlwind, so I'll keep them for later and stick with Bloodfists for now. Next find was a unique spiked club, that being Stoutnail. Nothing special here except that the 100% enhanced damage makes it slightly more powerful than one of my scepters, so I'll use it for now. Next find was very special though, since it was a pair of Hisaru's boots. These things are great on their own since they provide 20 faster run walk and 25 fire resistance, but with the belt, that attack rating per level is huge and will make it so that I don't have to worry about attack rating at least throughout normal. For a change, next set of finds were useful for my mercenary rather than myself. First is this unique Bardiche Demoux Hue, which has good attack speed and damage boosts, and also Berserker's Helmet for some fire resistance, which is also very useful. Getting a mercenary, however, at this time would not be all that useful, as Andoriel will pretty much eat him up for breakfast, but good for later. Speaking of later, a little while later, I got to level 16, which meant I had enough strength to equip a flail, and I bought a 3-socketed one from Pharah to build my first weapon rune word, Ith-El-Eth, turning into Malice. This rune word is great because it adds 2 amazing mods. Prevent monster heal, which ensures that monsters do not regen after getting hit by this for like 80 minutes, and the next being 100% chance of open wounds. Passive damage in Diablo 2 is amazing, especially against bosses, which can take a while to kill, so it is nice to have continuous residual damage always acting on them. I built this in a flail since it is the fastest white weapon available for purchase, and it also happens to be a mace. With my new weapon, I went back to killing Andy and got another exciting drop in the form of a unique ring, that being Nagel. This is really good actually, since I plan to do a lot of magic finding with this barbarian, so that 25% magic find is nice, and the 69 attack rating is nice too. That extra bit of MF really helped out though, since I finally found the one item that I had been grinding out for nearly 3 hours at that point, and that being the unique mace Crush Flange. This item has probably the most important stat for the melee barbarian, and that being the chance of crushing blow. That deals a percentage of the monster's current health in damage, and you will see coming up in pretty much every boss fight why this item was worth the grind. Well, one other positive thing that came from that grind was the fact that I grew a level and got to level 17 right at the cusp of starting Act 2, which meant that going in I could equip my stealth armor and my second flail, in which I threw in 3 tals for massive amounts of poison damage. This also meant that I was pretty over leveled and over geared for Act 2. And was pretty much maiming everything. But honestly, that is a good thing for a melee character, since the difficulty due to the lack of AoE racks up pretty quickly, and this way I'd be able to stay one step ahead. Don't get me wrong though, the barbarian himself is no slouch. He has a lot of tricks up his sleeves, like Leap for Maggot Lair, using which he can pretty much skip over all the monsters that he doesn't want to waste his time on, due to the knockback provided by that skill. It also just helps that the Maggot Lair has thin corridors anyways, since the barbarian can attack everything head on while not having to worry about his lack of AoE. Another trick of the barbarian that unlocks at level 18 and is fully realized in the Arcane Sanctuary is Leap Attack. Yup, who needs teleport when you can just have really manly legs? Continuing my leaping ways, I landed in Tal Rasha's Tomb near Duriel's little den hole. Thawing potions are key for this fight, both for you and your mercenary. He will still freeze you though because of his Holy Freeze aura, and that is extra annoying for a melee character since it slows down your attacks. Also annoying is the knockback that Duriel gets on his hits and how he was only attacking me and not my mercenary. It's all good though because in the end, crushing blow from Crush Flange and the open wounds all culminated in a dead beetle laying in Tal Rasha's chamber. Next up was everyone's favorite act, Act 3. As you can see, I am using choking gas potions as my source of AoE damage since you kind of need it due to the sheer large number of flares you have to kill. My helmet with the chance to proc Frost Nova is also putting in work here, slowing things down considerably, which helps me finish them off one at a time with Double Swing. Also, I reached level 20 at that time and put a point into Double Throw because I am building towards Frenzy. I'll be saving my points from level 22 to 24 to get 3 big skills at level 24. After clearing up the dungeon, I made my way to LK through Stormtree. As you can see that my damage output here is pretty respectable. Also helps that I had a combat shrine right here which increases my attack rating by a lot, pretty much guaranteeing every hit. Through LK, I got to the Kurast Bazaar and finally landed in the ruined temple to say hello to our old friend Sabrina. I can't. I would be setting camp here for a while and farming her for a few levels like I do with most of my characters, only the barb will have to be a little more careful. As you can see, she, is pretty likely to kill me if I'm not. For my other characters, I like to go up to level 24 with Serena farming so that I can use my teleport staff in the sewers. However, the barb really doesn't need that since he has leap, and therefore I felt it was okay to move on at level 23 since I can traverse through the sewers just fine. Much like Act 2, I leapfrogged my way here as well into this act's boss, Mephisto. The only difference being that Mephisto is a lot scarier than Duriel. Sure, Duriel was annoying with the Holy Freeze and the knockbacks, but Mephisto can one-hit KO me with one of his elemental moves since I have to stand really close to him while hitting him. That thankfully did not happen, and that standing really close to him resulted in some nice crushing blows that brought down Mephisto's health quick. Also, the mercenary. Still, nobody wants to attack him. You're sure you're on my side, Neeraj? Well, come Act 4, he got his chance to prove it against Izzy. Against him, Omerk's assistance is very valuable actually, since he can sponge the cold damage pretty well, provided you feed him enough thawing potions prior. I also gave him a pike that I bought from the "Hello, what do you need?" vendor guy in Act 4. I can't remember his name, but that's what he sounds like. So the pike actually upped my mercenary's damage, as you can see right here. I think I chose to go no crush flinch on this fight for whatever reason, but this fight would definitely have gone faster with crushing blow, hence I guess justifying my 3-hour grind for it even more. The River of Flame is a very dangerous place, you see, as it is very easy to leap into a pack of monsters which have a strong mod on them and they can kill you really fast. However, admittedly I was being a little reckless down here since I wanted to get to level 24 before Chaos Sanctuary, and therefore I decided to go after any boss pack I saw. This paid off as I got to level 24 and got the 3 big skills I was talking about: increased speed, frenzy, and battle orders. Increased speed is a passive ability that, increases your movement speed. Battle orders is probably the most famous barbarian skill that gives a boost to your current life and mana pool, so it is very nice. And finally, there is Frenzy. Frenzy is going to be my main attacking skill going forward. The way it works is that it swings both your weapons, and if you hit, you get a charge up of attack speed and run walk for a set duration, and you can increase your speed by hitting multiple times as your skill level increases. I use it in tandem with Double Swing. And I also got a Nokazin, which is very useful for the fire resistance, but Frenzy and Double Swing work great together as you saw there. This is in the beginning of the Frenzy skill though, but later on I switched to straight Frenzy when its attack rating bonuses become greater than double swings. Also got a Thol rune from the normal Hellforge, which potentially can come in handy. Inside the Chaos, you can see my Frenzy plus double swing combo at work. As you can see, I use Frenzy as a charge up skill to get my attack speed and run walk raised, and after that I switch to double swing to get the more damage and attack rating. This in combination with the open wounds caused by Malice and the poison damage does a huge number on the monsters, but I have to be careful since I have to be in their close quarters while fighting, and that can be very spoopy. As you can see, I took down Infector and Decise by hitting and running, therefore to keep myself alive, but Grand Vizier is much more of a feeble foe, and therefore I felt confident to charge in, kind of like a frenzy barbarian, which I literally am, and took him out. Oh, speaking of okay, next fight was the LOD himself. Now this guy can screw you up pretty bad since, well, he's Diablo. That's kind of what he does. He has big attacks, and since you are standing so close to him, he can fire those off very quickly and get significant damage on you before you realize and plan to dodge them. Other than that, he also hits you with his Gold Claw, which is really annoying since it really hampers your attacking speed and also your movement speed, so that Diablo can then do this. Yeah, my barbarian got absolutely fried there, but thankfully I anticipated that and therefore had the wisdom to make a town portal. He didn't have much health left anyways when I went back, so I just went in and finished him off in a couple of hits. Huh, no unique maul, I see. I guess we'll meet again, Lord Diablo. For now though, I gotta kill your evil brother Baal. Saving the barbarians in Act 5 actually with the barbarian is pretty funny, as they have to stand around and watch you do things that 5 of them couldn't do. Also fun is the moaning competition that you can have with 3 of your brethren from different motherren. I am of course talking about the Ancients fight. Now the Ancients in normal cannot have mods on them like Lightning Enchanted or Cursed, but what they can have is a chance to spawn with a rare item that can have a chance to cast amp damage, or in my case have cold damage on it. Cold damage is just the bane of this barbarian's existence, and finding out which barbarian was the one that was causing the trouble was key. Once I figured out it was pesky little Madoc, I went after him first since constantly being frozen was letting me open to attacks. After he died, it was an even playing field. Open wounds helped out big time in this fight, as you can see from all the blood lost by the Ancients, and helped me take them out slowly but surely. The first 3 Baal waves were pretty easy to take out. Trouble starts at the 4th one when these guys all gang up on you and your mercenary and pretty much shred him into pieces in seconds. PTSD from the Chaos Sanctuary starts to set in. Thankfully, open wounds play a huge part in this fight, as well as with the residual damage I am able to wear on them by simply touching them every so often. Having gear with Frost Nova procs also helps, as it slows down these guys so that you can hit them with a few extra shots in between their own attacks. After seeing how much damage Wave 4 did to me, no way in hell was I ever gonna even try to fight Wave 5, so I didn't even consider it, just let them out and went in to attack Baal. Now, Baal had been pretty annoying in the throne room by casting Decrepify and just being Baal everywhere, and therefore it felt nice to take all of my frustration out on him in the form of some good old crushing blows. Sadly though, his annoyances continued in the World Stone Chamber as he used his cold reshaped attack quite often, which was just the worst, and his physical damage was nothing to scoff at either. My mercenary died as well, and therefore I was left alone to finish this job. Honestly, not making it the fastest kill of Bale, since once you get a couple of crushing blows in, their effect starts to decrease, but still pretty satisfactory overall nonetheless. Also, yeah, rare Maul. Feels bad, man. Anyways, as I have alluded to earlier, I am looking for a certain Maul before I move on to Nightmare, and thus it was time for Chaos runs, and let me tell you that doing those is about as difficult as it sounds with this Barbarian. Oh yeah. But I had to find a way out, and these are the few key points that I followed. Number 1. Kill only the necessary monsters. That means only the 3 lesser evils and the monsters that are directly surrounding them. Number 2. Use your faster run walk and whiz past others using Frenzy. Number 3. Don't die. Yeah, gonna have to work on that last one a little bit. Oh, and the icing on the cake is that even after you do all that, Diablo is probably gonna drop Diddley Squat anyways. And he'll do it again. And again. And again. Remember how my Andariel farming time was like 3 hours? Yeah, this farming says hold my beer. So yeah, 15 hours. Oh, and by the way, I didn't even find the stupid thing at the end of this. This was just the point where I gave up and thought that recording this was pointless, and thus just kept farming without recording anything till I actually found this like 5 more hours later. Fun fact, I tried doing this mini playthrough last year, like around the same time, and spent roughly the same amount of time as this one to find the stupid bone snap, and when I found it, it turned out to be ethereal. Yeah, needless to say, I turned off my PC, cried myself to sleep, and decided to do Necro next morning. Now, that decision did turn out to be pretty good for me. Thank you for all the support. But this video is not about the Necro. This is about the Barbarian, and it is time to see what gear I have accumulated to start off Nightmare. First off is the helmet, which I found while doing some Nightmare Countess runs. It has some pretty good plus skills on it, with natural resistant bonuses, which is a skill of the Barbarian that gives you all resistance and is one of the reasons why the Barbarian is just so great. Right now I have all res of 40 just from this skill. Next, my amulet. I just don't have a better one than this, so I'm just gonna keep using this 33 Magic Find amulet, which, you know, is always fun thing to have, since you always have a better chance of finding a better one. One of my rings is a Mantled, since it gives 6% mana steal, and that 22 life is pretty sick as well. The other ring is a Nagel, and this is solid because of the MF boost and the attack rating on it. Gloves are standard 30 lightning resistance gloves that I bought from Charcy because my lightning resistance was really lacking. My belt and boots combo is unchanged from normal. Hisarus for the good individual bonuses, but the big one is the attack rating bonus that I get for the 2-piece set. Then there is a bit of a controversial choice, Hawkmail. Now this thing looks great because cannot be frozen, and I found this off of Diablo by the way, and it was very useful while running him, but just the way Whirlwind works, being frozen can actually be better for you? I'll explain more later, but as of right now, I mean I do have a Rattle Cage as well, but I do like the cannot be frozen since it doesn't slow my run walk, so I am keeping it for right now. Speaking of things I found at Diablo, found Bone Flesh, which is a super good armor with open wounds and the all-important lifesteal for my mercenary. Also, I found this ethereal unique pike, and it is actually pretty sick just because of the sheer amount of damage this thing adds and just does. Makes my mercenary a complete boss. Then there is the star of the show, the Bone Snap. 30% fire and cold resistance and the huge 40% crushing blow are the reason you use this weapon. The enhanced damage roll is horrible. It can go from 200 to 300, but if 20 hours of grinding can only produce this, then I guess it'll have to be good enough. Nah, just kidding. We can make it better by sticking it into the cube. Like a good cooking show, I already have prepared in there a Ral rune, a Sol rune, and a perfect emerald, and this recipe is to convert a normal unique weapon to its exceptional counterpart. So my damage right now is 94 to 135, and after the upgrade, now it is 167 to 246. So a pretty big bump in damage without a doubt. With this thing equipped, my whirlwind does a total of 971 damage after accounting the damage from the skills. Speaking of whirlwind, I should actually go over the skills. First skill that I maxed over was Mace Mastery, and that was to get that attack rating and the damage, and since this is a passive skill, its mana cost doesn't increase with increase in levels. Also have a point in natural resistance as mentioned before, and in the war cries I have one in shout and battle command, and I think about 7 in battle orders. The rest of the points obviously go to my main damaging skill, Whirlwind. I am skilling this last since its mana cost increases with every point. Also have 1 point in Berserk since it does magic damage and thus can deal with physical immunes or resists. As is customary in this videos, Andariel gets to be the first victim of my newest build. This fight actually highlights 2 major flaws in my current build and setup. Number 1 is the lack of any life leech. Due to this I get hit quite often, and since you can't drink potions while in a whirlwind, although that would look pretty awesome, I almost died because of it. Second is that whirlwind is, well, just a crazy skill. It is wild and hard to control, which is why my barb is flying all across the room. The advantage with it though is that it absolutely churns through Andariel, so I guess I'll just have to live with it. So yeah, Whirlwind is great, but Berserk is no joke either. For example, here is a physical immune mosquito pack boss since he had stone skin, and well, now he isn't there. Yeah, I don't think I need to mention that damage output is my barb's strong suit at the moment. Not to mention you can pick up an offensive mercenary that gives you Might Aura in Nightmare Act 2, just like the one I have here. If you actually look in the character screen, you will see that Berserk does more damage in one hit than Whirlwind does, so no wonder that I was able to one-hit KO that mosquito. However, what makes Whirlwind superior for me is the area of effect that it causes, which is why I am able to back on it against spoopy boss packs such as Fangskin, so that it can take out the boss pack and the minions all at the same time. Maggot Lair is kind of made for the Whirlwind Barbarian if you really think about this, and I mean, just look at this. This is like a match made in heaven, just basically a churning ground for a little barbaric creature. Also killing off some beetles here got me a 20 fire res grand charm, and not bad. But Tal Rasha's tomb is a lot less forgiving. The stakes here are higher since the monsters are stronger, and of course, Might Aura is always dangerous, especially with beetles around. It honestly is not that bad. That was kind of a stupid death since I lunged into a Might Aura pack with no life leech, and getting to Duriel, honestly, if you go the right way, is not all that difficult. Once at Duriel though, we gotta have a different conversation. This fight is probably the best argument for why Whirlwind Barbarians should not have Cannot Be Frozen. Due to Duriel's Holy Freeze aura, in this fight my Barb is constantly frozen, but because of this, his whirlwinds are a lot shorter, consistent, and controllable. This allows for multiple shots to be hit directly to Duriel much faster than I could hit Andariel with. What's happening here is since my Barbarian literally moves slower, Duriel is kinda walking into my whirlwinds at times. Needless to say, this is probably the only melee build that benefits from Duriel's Holy Freeze aura and thus makes this fight go super chill. Yeah, Holy Freeze and super chill, yeah, you get it. Let's just move on. But seriously though guys, I think I may have a bit of a problem here. I think I am eternally cursed since no matter what I do, I just cannot stop finding skillers. Maybe it is just the amount of filthy casual hours I put into this game which makes things like this bound to happen, but whatever the case may be, I think I'll just have to live with it. This is useless, by the way. Moving on to more useful areas like the Travancore, the game shows that it isn't all lemongrass and peaches just yet. One of the worst mods that you can face on bosses with the Whirlwind Barbarian is Mana Burn, since Whirlwind is a skill that uses a lot of mana, and it only takes one swipe from the monster to sap all your mana from you, leaving you stuck where you cannot attack. Unless of course you start crazily chucking down your mana potions like I did here. The damage from these guys was nothing to scoff at either, especially from the council member that was lightning enchanted, and since my lightning resistance was pretty weak anyways, it didn't end well for me. In the end though, I finished them off with Whirlwind and got a Foul Rune as my reward. It seems pretty useless, but actually ended up working out for me in the end. You'll see. Then there was Mephisto. Now one weird thing that you may notice about this fight is that my Barbarian will seem to lose mana a lot more than he did while he was fighting other monsters or even other bosses. Yeah, well, that actually has to do with attack rating. You see, when I have gear that gives me mana stolen per hit, however, since Mephisto's monster level is higher than my Barbarian's character level, my chance of hitting him is lowered significantly. Due to this, I am missing, and because of that, I am not able to leech enough mana. It's obviously not detrimental since I am still able to take him out, but my chance of hitting him was like 60%, as you saw there. Also, as you saw there, yes, that indeed is the Sorcerer's Dream, the Chromatic Ire that just dropped. I mean, that is, unless your sorceress is named Brock Lesnar and has her own shiny Hodo. Hashtag humble brag. Anyways, back to my Barbarian, my attack rating problems carried on in Act 4 as well. Along with that, the monsters here are just plain more tankier and stronger, and therefore my old strategy of brute forcing everything down with straight whirlwinds was just not working anymore. Because of this, I had to play a little less offensive, and instead of charging into mob packs, I decided to stay on the outer edge of their groups and tried whirlwinding in a triangular shape, which is the recommended way to do it by multiple forums, and it does work out pretty well. It is kinda hard to get the hang of it right away since Whirlwind is a pretty finicky skill, but practice was key since I knew I had much bigger things waiting in the chaos. Before that though, I killed Izzy to get additional skill points into Whirlwind to get myself more attack rating, and then went to the Hellforge in hopes of getting a pull rune. Hephaestus, the Guardian of the Hellforge here, had Conviction Aura on him, which is mostly scary, but since his attacks are purely physical, that doesn't bother me too much. He could have had a much worse aura like Might or Fanaticism, and then I would have been a lot scared, but this was fine since he wasn't doing all that much damage to me and I was able to kill him pretty quick. With the hammer, I struck the Soul Stone and didn't get a pull rune. I got an instead. So after my little unsuccessful detour, I went back to my path to the chaos and went and fought Infector first. This guy is scary even in Nightmare because of his infernos do deal a lot of damage and all of his minions can gang up on you as well. Also, I voluntarily look like I get stuck in the middle of their pack a couple of times. That is just the result of trying to do short whirlwinds, which results in the barbarian just standing still and regular attacking. An oversight of mine since I was still figuring out the whole triangle path method. Anyways, next was Decise, and after dispatching of his minions, killing him is no big task at all. Keen observers may also notice that I am looking a lot more purple than usual, and yeah, that's because I did indeed switch to the Rattle Cage just to get that extra 25% crushing blow and to maybe benefit from the lack of Cannot Be Frozen. So with Infector and Decise down, it was time for... with Grand Vizier down as well, I guess it was time for Diablo. Now Diablo and my Barbarian are no strangers. I spent way too much time with him in normal and now was pretty much accustomed to his tricks. Only here, his tricks of the Cold Claw were actually going to benefit me since whirlwinding while frozen, I was able to land extra hits on him. It still doesn't hurt to remember that at the end of the day you are fighting Diablo here. I mean, there is a reason they named the game after this guy, so being a little cautious is advisory, but man does it feel good to bash him in the head over and over with the same bone snap that he refused to drop for me back in normal. I guess as a bonus apology, he dropped a unique cask for me, which turned out to be the item Steel Skull. Yes, this thing is pretty nice. 5% dual leech, some hit recovery, and 48% magic find. With those stats, it's kinda like a mini Tal Rasha's helmet, and I'll take that with me, thank you very much. Okay, Act 5 time now. It started out with me fighting Shink, and this guy is kinda like a meme in the Diablo 2 community, since he's pretty weak and dying to him is pretty hard, actually. His minions on the other hand can gang up on you real quick though, so take care. I had to take special care since at this point my mercenary had started dying constantly and therefore I had to walk the road ahead of me alone. That was gonna be quite tough because this road went through Frozenstein. I actually had a fairly easy time dealing with the troubles in the Frozen River due to my newly found life leech, but Frozenstein is always mana burn, and we have talked about how that can be a pain. So therefore, I rehired my mercenary to tank a little bit and used a combination of Whirlwind and Berserk since Berserk consumes less mana to kill the whole boss pack. One other fight where the mercenary was a huge help was in the Ancients fight. Now since I was a Whirlwind Barbarian now, you know it was time for an epic Whirlwind versus Whirlwind showdown between me and Talik, but I had my mercenary on my side who assisted me by providing me Might Aura. He had his brothers on his side, and one of the three were lightning enchanted as well, which did hurt my barbarian a lot since my lightning resistance is pretty low without the natural resistance helmet. The battle went for pretty long, and I was really surprised that my mercenary survived for this long in this hostile environment, and would you look at that? He even took down Madoc right in front of my eyes. Now, while my mercenary was in complete beast mode, I realized a stupid mistake that I had made, and that was to not bring enough health potions. Now, I really wanted to duel with Talik to the end, but him attacking me here pretty much sealed the deal for me, and I thought I would have to reset the fight since I had no health or rejuvenations left now either. I went into my safe corner and hid, and then I realized what was happening. You see, my mercenary was bugged all along. This is a mercenary bug, people, that mercenaries get when they respawn on their own, and when that happens, they are not read as targets by the enemy AI. This meant that even though I couldn't risk going after Talik any longer, my mercenary will never be attacked by Talik, so slowly but surely he would kill him, and thus I will win the fight. An honorable man would have not taken such a cheap victory and reset at this stage, and so that is exactly what I didn't do. Oh, sweet, sweet cheap victory. Well, to pay me back, the game spawned dolls in the throne room, which are very dangerous since they explode when killed, but also turned out to be very fruitful for me since one of them dropped me unique demon hide gloves called Venom Grips, which offer more of each lifesteal and crushing blow. Oh baby. Now maybe putting on the Hawkmail may have been the wiser choice for this fight, but I really wanted Bale to taste all that sweet 70% crushing blow that I had going on. The reason I say that the Hawkmail would have been better is that because of his cold reshaped attack that knocks you back along with freezing you, thus having you to walk slowly in a frozen state, the Hawkmail could help in that particular state, but it also didn't help that he cloned himself right in the beginning and wasn't shy at all to use his mana burn attack, which is really annoying for the barbarian, as mentioned earlier. The crushing blow actually turned out to be crucial though, since my attack rating was once again a glaring issue in this fight. Thankfully, the blows that I did land made a mark with crushing blows, and therefore his health went down as fast as it did. However, things weren't all apple juice and sunshine just yet, since my attack rating problem was making me paranoid, and I would not be able to hit a thing in hell if I just went on like this, and thus decided to sell my soul to the devil once again and set on another grind for a specific item. This time the Angelic set from Endario. Yeah, you may guess what followed. This one I ended up recording at 10 hours only, not because I thought it was worthless, but because by that time I had found every other set amulet. Yes, including this one. And you know, this is exactly what I was really talking about the last time with the Boazon, when I was trying to say that farming for specific items in Diablo 2 absolutely breaks you. It requires repetitive farming that really takes away from the fun of the game for a while, but you know what, at the same time, although the game spits on your face, veggies you and runs away laughing, sometimes it actually decides to be nice. At the end of the day, you gotta realize that it is just a random number generator that you are playing against. Anyways, this circlet is a pretty good find, right? I mean, 1 to all skills with the Barbarian is pretty huge and a nice thing to have, but I don't know if I could take that over my Steel Skull. Wish I could have both. Oh. Huh. Well, that solves that problem, doesn't it? Wait, did I just find a Stone of Jordan? And yes, the moment that you all had been waiting for, I found the Angelic's amulet as well. Phew, this thing pairs really well with the ring and gives the sick 2-piece set bonus of some massive attack rating per level for my Barbarian. Finally, we're going to hell, baby. Yeah, I thought that until I got my ass kicked by like the first quill rat I encountered in Bloodmoor. Ouch. Yeah, the problem here is that killing Andariel Nightmare doesn't level me up at all, and therefore I was under-leveled for Hell, and therefore it was time for some Bill runs, followed by some Hell Countess. The big rune that I was looking for here was Pull Rune, since that way I could upgrade my Bone Snap to keep up its damage with the difficulty. Killing Hell Countess though was no joke, and I went the extremely slow and steady route, whirlwinding literally away from her because she could kill me too easily otherwise. Later I devised a much better strategy using my mercenary as bait and then going for the Countess while her minions attacked my merc. Unfortunately I did not film that, and more unfortunately I did not film something else that happened while I was farming the Countess as well. Trust me people, I am asking good old RNG Almighty the same question that you are. Don't tell me how, just tell me why. Unfortunately, I got no answer back from the Almighty. Pfft, typical. And therefore, I guess I'll just have to show you my gear for Hell anyways. My gear hasn't changed much from Nightmare at all, but I'll share it with you anyways. So my helmet is Steel Skull. You saw I found this from Nightmare Diablo, and yeah, it is pretty great. It has dual leech on it, 5% only. I am really surprised that I did not find a Tal Rasha's mask this whole grindy journey, especially considering the other things I found, but yeah, this is still good. That 48 MF is also super fun and something I wouldn't have if I had on a Tal Rasha's, something to consider. My armor is all new though, Nephilim making smoke in a great hauberk, or however you say it. I got this base from a sturdy armor stand that I had in my tower, and yeah, just overall great armor. Pretty good defense, and of course the 50% all resistance, which is the major reason why I am using it. My belt and boots combo is still the same. Geez, this has stuck along since Act 1 normal, but it's just so good. I do have some Goblin Toe boots laying in my stash, and those offer 25% crushing blow, but really? Do I need more crushing blow when my weapon gives 40% already? I don't know. I prefer the additional attack rating and stats on the boots over that. Gloves must be fresh in your memory, as these are the same venom grips that I found in Nightmare Throne. Obviously the dream would be some soul drainers, but really what I would like is some more life leech, because even though I have 10% total on this guy right now, it is still not enough and I lose life really quickly. Then is my jewelry, of course, rocking that angelic ring with that massive 864 to attack rating, and this gets amplified percentage wise with my skills, and therefore having this base is really crucial. Complementing that is the amulet, which also gets a nice set bonus in the form of 75 to life. Very good indeed. Of course, then there is the second angelics. I'm just kidding. Now, okay guys, look, I'm using one SOJ, but I can't use two SOJs. Alright, I need the attack rating, but I know what you're gonna say. But Chinmay, what if you anger the RNG Almighty by not using his blessings that he gave you? Well, alright, fine. I'll switch them periodically just to keep them happy, okay? God, it's so hard being me. Then of course there is my weapon, which for now is a War Club Bone Snap, but we're gonna do the ritual of putting it in the cube, in which I already have a Pull Rune, a Lum Rune, and a Perfect Emerald, for the recipe to convert an exceptional weapon into an elite one. And there we go. Damage now goes from 243 to 334, and after equipping it with Whirlwind, I do close to 2k damage. Not bad for a weapon that I found in normal, eh? I would have liked to find a Rib Cracker on this character, and I alluded to it in the Amazon mini playthrough as well.
Like the Rib Cracker, which is a great find for one character, but sadly not so much for the Amazon, since throwing the staff and picking it up again and again doesn't sound all that fun.
But I couldn't, and instead I ended up just finding 2 SOJs instead. C'est la vie. Anyways, these are the skills that I'm going to be using for my final build. Max Whirlwind, obviously. 1 point into Berserk for physical immune boss packs. I don't plan to kill physical immune monsters per se, since it will take ages, but boss packs with stone skins can be taken out using this. Max Mace Mastery, since my weapon is an Ogre Maul, and since my weapon is an Ogre Maul, I choose to max Battle Orders next, since that thing takes up 225 strength points, and so my base vitality is kind of low. The rest of the points I am dumping into Natural Resistance, because Natural Resistance. As you can see, with Battle Orders I am at 2076 life, which isn't too bad, I suppose. The mercenary setup, I built this guy a Treachery so that he gets that massive attack speed bonus and the Fade proc, which will make him more tanky, and yes, that Fal rune that I found from Travincle helped here, as I cubed 3 Fals to make a Lem. His weapon is Ethereal Meat Scraper, pretty good weapon with some good damage and nice lifesteal, which always is a nice bonus. Found while farming Nightmare Andariel as well, and this helmet is just Ral because of the fire res, and I have nothing better to give him. If I find Tals, I will probably give him my Steel Skull, but for right now, he'll have to make do with this. So Andariel in Hell can be a pretty annoying kill, and the reason for this is the fact that zombies can spawn in Catacombs 4. Much like Tainteds were a hindrance for my Zon, these zombies are undead monsters, which means that they have naturally high physical bulk, and due to this they take little damage from my attacks. They aren't all that threatening, especially compared to Tainteds, since they are very slow, but they can still be a pain. One of the zombie packs turned out to be a cold enchanted one, and that kind of worked in my favor, but mostly, yeah, just a pain and caused me a lot of troubles. Andariel herself was dealing a lot of damage with her poison and physical attacks, and that lifesteal was definitely not putting in enough satisfactory work. Anyways, my crushing blow was still hitting her time to time, and with my damage being respectively high, she did go down eventually, but I gotta say, in the famous words of Georges St. Pierre, Mr. Barbarian, I am not impressed by your performance. Something needs to be fixed, and I think that something is the recovery that I need when I hit a monster, and I think the way to fix it is gonna be through a wand with life tap charges. I shopped for one from Drognen in Hell, and it was actually quite silly of me to not think of this solution before, because I do use the lore resist wand all the time. Anyways, better late than never, am I right? Life Tap, if you do not know, is this awesome necromancer curse that basically turns your enemy into a tap of life. The life leads that you get from this curse is insane. I mean, look at this sequence for instance. You can see I went whirlwinding into these guys with less amounts of HP than I ended up with after killing them. Basically, once you cast Life Tap and you hit, you cannot die. Just gotta make sure that you hit. Speaking of hit, god damn, this thing can hit. Look at that crazy damage. Unfortunately, the level on this ceremonial pike or whatever is too high, and therefore I don't think my mercenary will be getting that anytime soon. So yeah, anyways, Life Tap. Yeah, thing literally converts enemies that I would have been afraid of otherwise, and it turns them into targets, upon which I just lay down a curse and then go whirlwinding in and have no fear of dying. It truly does change the entire dynamic of how you play the game. Of course, some fights are gonna remain pretty much the same, like the Duriel fight. This fight was pretty easy in Nightmare, and even now in Hell, it is still pretty easy. The Holy Freeze is greatly appreciated since it helps my whirlwinds be more manageable, and the Life Tap wands helps out greatly as well. It also helps the mercenary since whenever he gets a hit in, since his life regens like crazy as well, and then everyone is happy. Well, everyone except for Duriel. Sorry buddy, you tried your best. The Whirlwind Barbarian has just got your number. This, by the way, was what the coronet turned out to be. Yeah, meh. I mean, yeah, meh. Whatever. Moving on. Act 3 first poses the question about how good is Life Tap against someone like Sark, the Spider-Man monster thing. Can you survive him? And the answer is yes and no. And yes, but you have to be careful. See, in order to survive with Life Tap, you gotta actually hit. Attack rating is not the problem here, but rather the fact that the spider's hits are really powerful and they leave you hit stunned. Like that Sark with his cursed and extra strong mods is seriously no joke. It really took me a while to reset, pull all those monsters in little by little and finish them few at a time. That being said, it is definitely doable, and yes, Life Tap does help out a lot in just erasing the worry about healing constantly. Jumping straight from there, I went to LK to do some LK runs at Players 8. I didn't get the opportunity to do these in Nightmare this time, so I thought I would satisfy my craving for it in Hell. Other than that, I also was in dire need of funds since I was pretty sure I was gonna be abusing the crap out of that Life Tap wand, and I decided to go to 3.2 million gold to cover up my charged repairs and other expenses. After this, I made my way to Travincal to get the final piece of Khalim's will. Now you may notice that when I guide these council members out, oh so kindly, that I would be hitting them quite often, and yes, your suspicion is right. I moved on to Dual Angelics. It was just getting a little too hard to keep going with that SOJ literally sandbagging me, and with the Dual Angelics I just feel like I have that much more attack rating and thus attack prowess. Sorry Dual SOJs, your work here is done. Cue sad music. Not everything needs to be sad though, since having those Dual Angelics equipped will increase both my offensive prowess and my defensive ability, and I'm going to need both against Mephisto. Mephisto still does make me miss a little bit, and you can see that from my mana. I was doing shorter whirlwinds here as well, so that might add to that, but Mephisto is a high monster level character, so I would not be surprised if it was just my chance to hit. Life Tap puts in work though, since, as you can see, I am able to get back any life I lose due to his crazy elemental attacks almost instantly. This wand has been a great find for my character and is making my life a hell lot easier. Who needs Life Leech when you have Life Tap, am I right? And just when I say that, Mephisto dropped me the unique Demon Hide Sash. String of Years, ladies and gentlemen. 6% lifesteal and 15% damage reduced. Dang, that's a good defensive belt, and who knows, it might actually replace my need for a Life Tap wand on Switch altogether. Yep, no, no it doesn't, not at all. I'll admit it seemed to have been working pretty okay there for a while, but this aggressive playstyle that I have gotten used to due to Life Tap, yeah, I mean, there is just no comparison. This thing absolutely trumps any other form of recovery just because of how effective and instantaneous this is. So yeah, don't think I'm gonna be letting go of this anytime soon. Quite similar to how Fasto refused to let go of his Hellforge hammer actually. This guy in Hell had Blessed Aim, which is, again, not all that threatening to me, especially with Life Tap now. I was not afraid of him, and then he revealed to have Mana Burn. That really does suck, since it stopped me in my tracks a lot of times, which stopped my damage output and thus my recovery. Almost wished I had a Mana Tap wand in hand as well, but oh well, you make do with what you have. I returned to town a couple of times to get potions, and after that I was able to kill him off eventually. It turned out to be all in vain in the end anyways, since I ended up getting a Mal rune from the Hellforge. I don't even know what I was expecting here, maybe another Pull rune? To get a late game, I don't know, Rib Cracker, lol, but yeah, whatever. I think I'm ready to finish this game content with the gear that I have right now. Speaking of content, yeah, content, the Infector fight. This fight was pretty long, and I think I will speed it up for you a little bit here while I talk over it. It was the general affair of me casting Life Tap and trying to whirlwind through these monsters. Infector was also Stone Skin here, which is why this fight took so long, and it's all good in the end. Yeah, not much else to say here, so I'll just let you watch this fight with some fitting music. Yeah, sorry, I kinda just shrunk that CS into a short montage, but I do have something to talk about while I fight Diablo, so yay. Now with the Life Tap wand I obviously do not have my teleport switch offhand, but this thing takes care of that too, since when in a corner, you can just cast Life Tap on the monsters and literally whirlwind your way out unfazed. God, I love Life Tap, if you can't tell already. Anyways, the Diablo fight otherwise was pretty straightforward. His lightning hose attack can't touch me since its animation starts way out and away from you in hell for some reason, and as long as I keep Diablo inside this starred circle where I can whirlwind him quite easily, it should be all good. Now when I killed him, I heard that horrid drop of a unique ring, and I thought to myself, if I found a third SOJ on this barbarian, I would stop playing Diablo 2 once and for all. No, I wouldn't, but I would have been pretty mad. Thankfully, it was just a stupid Nagel. This thing, on the other hand, is anything but stupid. This unique man-catcher being Viper Fork promises pretty good damage for my mercenary, and it is within range where he can equip it, and yeah, the Merc is gonna be talked about a fair bit in this final act, so this is really nice. First of all, killing Shank in Act 5 is pretty much necessary, since without this, Mala won't sell you cheap potions, and yeah, that would really suck. I made fun of Shank in Nightmare for being that one guy who can't kill you, and I guess he kinda got pissed off, and therefore spawned with a curse mod here. Yeah, that could have been dangerous, but thanks to Life Tap, again, it was pretty much a non-factor and I killed him off easily. After killing him, I also decided to kill his little brother of sorts, Eldritch. Now Eldritch is great to kill. He is pretty weak himself, isn't surrounded by as many guys as Shank is, gives decent experience, so if you wanna farm a level or two, this is a good option for that as well, and he also has a chance to drop some nice items like these Treks. Pretty nice ones too, these. Almost perfect strength and vitality rolls, perfect poison resistance roll since it can go from 40 to 70, and well, almost the most horrible enhanced defense roll, but I guess it doesn't matter since I was just gonna sell these off anyways. Okay, I gotta stop being goofy now since the Ancients fight is coming up next. Before that though, I have to do a little bit of prep, and that will begin by first going into the inner cloister in Act 1. What I'll do here is I'll go into jail level 3 and then come back out, and then I will try to trap my mercenary in these doors. After doing that, I can move away and wait for him to respawn on his own. You may remember how awesome the Ancients fight in Nightmare was since my mercenary was bugged by accident. Well, I plan to make the hell fight go in a similar way, just now I bugged him with all intents and purposes. After my mercenary was bugged, I went back to Act 5 and dropped some potions in the Ariat Plateau, just in case I run out of my belt and inventory of potions during the long Hell Ancients fight. I skipped the first roll that I got from these Ancients since Madoc and Talik were both extra fast and I did not want to deal with that. This was the second roll that I did, and I did my usual thing of luring the Ancients to the side so that I can single them out one by one. First one to spin to me was Talik, but this never really did go very well. You see, to trap Talik, you want to stand at the corner of this ledge so that he spins on top of you, and from then onwards he only uses melee swings to hurt you. Unfortunately, in that pursuit, I lured the rest of the two Ancient as well, and thus had to teleport away and reset. This time, Talik got stuck somewhere far away, so I lured in Korlik first. Now my plan here was to cast a Life Tap first, of course, and then start swinging. The attack that I'm using here is called Concentrate since it increases my attack rating, and is a skill I already have since it is a prerequisite for Whirlwind. I did not want to use Whirlwind in this fight since it is such a crazy and unreliable skill that I didn't trust it to get me not killed by swinging me in the middle of the Ancients, especially with something like amp damage on me. So I killed Korlik, and all that while my mercenary had been recklessly swinging at Madoc, but he had not been hit once in return since obviously he was bugged. I tried to lure Madoc out, but to my dismay I pulled in Talik as well. From there I started to run away from the ancients like a mouse from a cat, and that was because I did not want to face Talik when I had a curse on me. The reason for why I made that decision is right here. Yeah, he can absolutely shred me. I tried to stall out the curse by moving away and just poking at Madoc whenever I found him all alone. Since this was hell though, his amp damage really had a long duration. I probably should have wore the treachery from my merc myself for this battle, since Fate does reduce your curse duration by a lot, but I didn't think about it at the time. Anyways, I got tired of Madoc anyways and just decided to kill him once and for all. Once Madoc was out, I lured Talik into a corner as well and pretty much started busting him down as well. I was doing pretty well as Talik was behaving for a little while, but then he started whirlwinding away and I had to get away since I still had that stupid curse on me. I finally finished him off by timing one of his whirlwinds and whirlwinding myself when his ended so that he died and I took no damage from him. Phew, that was a battle and a half, and there are still a few of those left since the Bale waves are next. Wave 2 was pretty much the most annoying of them all. This was also the fight where not having Cannot Be Frozen was actually slightly bad for me. You see, the skeletal mages attack with cold damage, and that, combined with Bale's Decrepify, really slows down my barb. Thankfully that boss pack was cursed. Never thought I would say those words, but it's true, since that meant that Bale couldn't super slow me down with the combo of Decrep plus Cold, otherwise this fight honestly could have gone a lot worse. Wave 3 can be dangerous since the council members here, especially Bartok, can do a lot of damage. They have Hydras firing at you constantly, and Bartok is always lightning enchanted, which meant that he does a lot of damage per hit that he lands or gets hit by. I don't think I need to mention why this wave was therefore the easiest for me to kill. I'll give you a hint. The reason for that starts with an L and ends with a P. Yeah, exactly. It was indeed because I lured them with lollipops. Anyways, I also got this unique partisan for my mercenary. It's Pierre Tombal Coant, and this is a pretty good weapon. Probably better than my current one even, but maybe a little too late. What the heck. I'll use it anyways. I won't be using it on wave 5 though, since these guys are, well, wave 5 of hell. Yeah, these guys are supremely tanky, as illustrated by my druid playthrough. Yeah, in that playthrough they didn't even take damage from Tornado at all, so I decided to lure them out, and thank God because Lister actually turned out to be physical immune. Oh, that cheeky little dinosaur. And finally, all there was left was the final showdown with Bale. This playthrough took a hot minute to make. Like, geez Louise, did it take a lot of time to film, and then I am having to pretty much rush my script in 2 days because I want to get this video out before my semester exams start. I hope you forgive any oversights I may have made as a result, but I am writing this and even voicing it, and it is very late and I just wanna get it just done with and go to bed. Honestly though, the Barbarian was pretty fun. Initially I was worried that his damage will not carry through to hell, but he did a pretty dandy job overall, I would say. Now that all of the characters of Diablo 2 have finally received one mini playthrough each, I can finally rest a bit, and I think I really want to do some other games, so I hope you won't mind too much about that. I do promise though to upload every other video of mine as a Diablo 2 one, and from now on I will be trying to making some alternative builds that I am interested in. If there are any alternative builds of characters that you would like to see me play, leave the suggestions down in the comments. Reading your comments makes my day, as always, and I hope this video makes your day a little more entertaining. what? I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I really just want to sleep. So yeah, hope you find this content riveting. Sorry for not uploading for so long. Promise I'll be better behaved in the future, and yours truly, with love.